Does Amazon want to start selling marijuana? That's what it's looking like. What's going on, guys? What's happening? YouTube, you guys have tuned into Rules for Rebels. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a story from Gizmodo posted, I don't know, 10, 12 hours ago late last night, titled Amazon is Lobbying the U.S. to Legalize Weed. Now, if you watched our video yesterday, we did a video yesterday talking about how many companies are getting rid of drug testing policies entirely, or at the very least, they're no longer testing for marijuana. Amazon being one of those companies. We've talked a lot in recent weeks and recent months about the labor shortages, which are a problem in and of themselves, but those labor shortages are now also starting to cause supply chain shortages since companies are having a hard time hiring workers in manufacturing, logistics, truck drivers, etc. So companies want to bring in as many workers as they can, and obviously they've realized that, and there were a bunch of stories in the article. Companies were saying, if we put out a "we're hiring" sign, we'll get 100 applicants. If we put out a "we're hiring" sign, but that we drug test, we might only get 4 or 5 applicants. It's obviously inhibiting the amount of people they can get to work for them. It's kind of trimming down the pool of potential workers. So companies are getting rid of drug testing policies. And we've talked about that. It's been in the news that Amazon is getting rid of drug testing policies for pretty much everybody but like dot workers, truck drivers, and things like that. But it appears that Amazon is also lobbying to legalize weed. So this is kind of interesting. Obviously, Amazon likes to weasel into every industry there is out there. Amazon obviously sells a lot of stuff. They have a lot of third-party sellers. Amazon has their Amazon Basics products in pretty much every consumer retail category out there, whether it's gaming, office supplies, anything else. Amazon sells vitamins and supplements. They have their Solimo line of vitamins, supplements, energy drinks. Amazon does prescriptions. We got the Amazon Fresh grocery stores, Amazon Music, Amazon Prime streaming services. I mean, Amazon likes to get their hooks into everything. And, obviously the marijuana industry is a huge industry. More and more states are legalizing. We've seen the amount of money being brought in by even more of these states that have recently legalized, whether it be Colorado, Illinois, so many other states. And I'm sure Amazon realizes there's an opportunity here. And like big businesses often like to do, they like to craft kind of this new industry or the legislation around it because it allows them to keep competitors and smaller businesses out. So if Amazon plays a role in helping to legalize marijuana, you know what Amazon's going to do, and mark my words, Amazon is going to be like, in order to keep this safe and keep, marijuana consistent and reliable and safe, we should make it so that you have to have 1,000 acres to be able to grow marijuana. Well, a lot of these small farmers and growers aren't going to, don't have 1,000 acres. So that's going to knock a lot of people out. We think in order to keep this space safe, that everybody, every marijuana grower should have $100 million umbrella insurance policy. Okay, that's going to cost, $100,000 a year. You're knocking even more people out of the pool. So large businesses like red tape. They like legislation. They like rules and laws because it's things that they're set up and prepared and have the size and scale to work with and work around. Whereas smaller businesses, smaller farmers, smaller growers will not. So that's basically what I think Amazon is going to wind up doing. Another thing, obviously, this is good PR for Amazon, right? Like, this isn't necessarily like a brave move they're making or a brave statement they're making. 63%, I guess it depends on what surveys you look at, but anywhere from 58%, 63%, some studies and surveys are even higher. 63% of Americans think marijuana should be legalized. So this is kind of like a populist sentiment, right? Like, hey, Amazon thinks weed should be legalized. So do I. I think it makes Amazon, quote unquote, cool, or it makes them an ally of potheads and maybe ingratiates weed smokers and younger people to the company. And also, as we often talk about, this is why Amazon gets behind things like the BLM movement. Amazon doesn't want to talk about workers' rights or workers' pay. So anytime a social issue comes up that's not about Amazon and that's not going to affect Amazon, Amazon will definitely throw their weight behind it. So I think those are kind of the reasons that Amazon is lobbying to legalize weed. Let's hop into this article from Gizmodo. This is a relatively short one. Amazon is ramping up its pro-weed campaign, announcing on Tuesday that it is actively lobbying for legislative reforms aimed at decriminalization and reaffirming its commitment to not job screening applicants for cannabis. And again, this isn't some brave move Amazon's making. A couple months ago, Amazon was firing people for smoking weed, and now that it benefits them, or it's a popular sentiment, like, yeah, you go weed. Beth Galenti, Amazon's senior vice president of human resources, declared in a blog post the company's support for two pieces of legislation aimed at decriminalizing cannabis nationwide. The move comes amid expanding legalization at the state level, with 36 states allowing some form of public access to cannabis and 18 states plus Washington, D.C., legalizing recreational adult use. This is the first is a Marijuana Opportunity, Reinvestment, and Expungement Act of 2021, the MORE Act, introduced by House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jerry Nadler, which would remove cannabis from the federal government's list of controlled substances, effectively decriminalizing it at the federal level. The bill also seeks to create new investment opportunities for communities that have been disproportionately affected by cannabis-related incarceration and policing, while also seeking to expunge relevant criminal records. The bill was previously introduced and passed the House last year in a historic vote before ultimately stalling in the then Republican-controlled Senate. Nadler reintroduced the bill in May, adding some modifications. The other proposed law that Amazon is supporting is the Cannabis Administration and Opportunity Act, a bill introduced by prominent Democrats, including Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, as well as Senator Cory Booker and Ron Wyden. The legislation would similarly seek to legalize and regulate weed, while also providing funds to state governments to be used in expunging criminal records related to cannabis-related convictions at the state level. Amazon, which employs 950,000 people in the U.S., said it supports these proposed bills for a number of reasons, one of which is the untenable patchwork of state laws and the fact that pre-employment testing for cannabis disproportionately impacts people of color. The company also noted that its continued pursuit of great new team members means that getting rid of pre-employment drug testing for cannabis allows them to hire from a larger pool. And here's what's kind of silly about this, right? Like, Amazon is kind of lecturing us that, oh, marijuana prohibition negatively affects people of color. Like, this is terrible. But you've been drug testing for marijuana and, in theory, keeping people of color out of your workforce for years, and all of a sudden now you're kind of changing course on this. I also think it's interesting because another thing that disproportionately affects people of color is vaccine mandates. Black, brown, Hispanic people are disproportionately unvaccinated or undervaccinated. And so if Amazon does a vaccine mandate, that's actually disproportionately affecting people of color as well. So it'll be interesting to see what Amazon does with that. I think they are requiring vaccinations, or at least if they follow Biden's policy of companies with 100 or more people, they will be. Back to the article, we are enthused by the notable momentum in the country towards recognizing that today's status quo is unfair and untenable. We look forward to working with Congress and other supporters to secure necessary reform of the nation's cannabis laws, Galletti wrote. Amazon's stance on cannabis use among its ranks began to change at least a few months ago. In June, reports emerged that the company was ditching its pre-employment testing for the intoxicating plant for positions with the exception of those regulated by the Department of Transportation, such as truck drivers and positions that require heavy machinery operation, while also encouraging the contract delivery companies that operate its fleet of blue vans to make it known they wouldn't screen for weed. This is an interesting turn for Amazon, which has proven itself to be a terrible employer in many other ways. On that note, it's also worth remembering that everybody from Elon Musk to unfortunate ex-governor of New York knows that acting okay with weed is a surefire way to make yourself look cool and engender goodwill, since most people know that prohibitions on it are just regressive, draconian bullshit. So again, they kind of say the same thing, and I said that, this is basically good PR for Amazon. This isn't a risky move to make. Like, the majority of people favor weed legalization. So this is kind of a populist view. We reached out to Amazon for comment on its recent endorsement of this legislation. We also inquired as to whether the company plans on investing in any cannabis-related business ventures in the future. We will update this story if they respond. So that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think about this story. Do you guys think that that Amazon will be selling marijuana in the future? And if so, how far in the future? Do you think 6 months from now Amazon's going to be selling weed? 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? And also, when do you think marijuana will be federally legalized? It's only a matter of time until it happens. It's actually pretty shocking that it hasn't happened already. At some point, all the states are going to be legal. And, what's the point in having a federal prohibition at that point? But would love to hear your thoughts, so go ahead and drop them in the comment section below. If you guys enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, click that subscribe button below and ding the bell. That's all I got for you guys today. Have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you on the next video.